All right. Let's see how this works. So share screen on this one. Can computer people see this? Yes. Okay, awesome. All right. So human people in room, you can hear me. I'm like legitimately confused as to where I am right now with all of this. I should probably just make this go away because you don't. Oh no, this is this mouse. You don't need to see this. All right. So homework 2 on the whole, people did quite well. I was happy with this one. So let's just go through the answers. First one. Again, this was the one in which you had to say, is this an argument? If so, what are the premises? What's the conclusion? So this first one, if you are happy and you know it, then you will clap your hands. You are happy, you do know it, therefore you will clap your hands. Was this an argument? Yes, it was an argument. What was the conclusion? That's a literal question. 7. Yeah. The therefore gives it away. The last sentence was the conclusion. So yes, for this one, therefore you will clap your hands is the conclusion. All right, number 2. This one tricked a lot of people. You shouldn't drink hydrochloric acid. You don't want to die. If you drink hydrochloric acid, you will die. Is this an argument? Yes, it is an argument. It is trying to prove something. But which is the conclusion?
Shouldn't drink hydrochloric acid.
Yes, the first one is the conclusion. This one, a lot of people said the last one. The last one is what's working with the second one to prove the first one. It's because you don't want to die, and if you drink hydrochloric acid, you will die, that you shouldn't drink it. It's not that you shouldn't drink it combined with you don't want to die is somehow proving that if you drink it, you will die. This is, the final thing is established by physics and chemistry and biology. It is not proved by the fact that you shouldn't do something. It's rather that you don't want to die combined with the facts of the biology lead to you shouldn't drink it. All right, number 3. First I ate breakfast, then I went for a walk, then yada, yada, yada. Argument or no? Come on, I don't want to be the only one talking. No. Okay, we're getting some shaken heads. It is no, it is not an argument. It's just a story. If we wanted to turn this into an argument, imagine we added one sentence at the end. What would an example of something we might add at the end be to turn it into an argument? Because we could do it. Any takers? Any digital people takers? Any human people takers? What could this be used to prove? Like, imagine I told you this, and then I was like, therefore, Mary? Yeah, I had an eventful day. If we had the sentence, therefore I had an eventful day at the end, then these are premises for a conclusion because they together are proving this other thing. But without that, it's just a story. It's not an argument. All right, dogs and legs. I don't feel like reading out this sentence 46 times. Is it an argument? Yes, it is an argument. And what is the conclusion? Yeah, therefore. And bonus points, is this a deductive or inductive argument? Inductive, yes. It's based on every dog I saw in the past. So this is an inductive argument. The conclusion is the final sentence. Number 5, donkeys and horses. All right, was this an argument? Yes, it was an argument. It is, and what's the conclusion? Nope, the next one, the donkey one.
Oh, therefore donkey are better.
Yeah, and what word gives it away? Yeah, bingo. Is an argument. All right, this one. If you're having girl problems, I feel bad for you, son. You do have girl problems, so I feel bad for you, son. Is this an argument as presented here? Not the song, I mean this particular sentence. Series of sentences. Yes, it is. And what is the conclusion? So I feel bad for you. Yeah, this is somebody explaining why they feel bad for you, son. In this imaginary thing, the speaker is explaining their feeling badness. Number 7 is just good. Good start to an album. It is not an argument. And number 8 is an argument. This means Hippolito weighs more than I do is the conclusion. 7, if somebody gave a very long explanation as to why this could have been used to prove a more general point in the background, I was willing to give some credit, but as presented, it is not an argument. Like if you said these are the premises to prove the hidden conclusion that I made it, well, then I'd give you some credit. 7.
Get something smarter here or if it costs less money.
So what you are picking up on is actually tied in with the hidden premises idea we're going to be talking about next week. So the reason why you're 100% right that as presented, it is a somewhat incomplete argument. However, the therefore that's with the donkeys, even if it's an incomplete argument and it's forgotten to say a premise out loud, you would never find a therefore except in an argument. So what you're picking up on, you are actually, I think in some ways, understanding it even better than you needed to. So like the question you raised is great. It is the right question to ask, but because of the therefore, it still is going to count as an argument. But you are right that as presented, it's missing the closing premise. And if this was like a ton of points off, I would give you some back, but because this is like 2 or 3 points, it's not going to make a difference in the grand scheme of things, unless you like really wanted to argue with me for it, in which case I might give you some points back. Okay, well, come and talk to me after class and we'll bounce you up. Because that is a very good point and you understand it well enough to recognize that, which is really what I want to go for. So come talk to me after class. All right. Any other questions? Chat people, human people, any people? Let's move on to the next one. All right. If I can find it on my screen. Stop sharing. Share screen. Homework 3. So this is one of the harder homeworks. On the whole, I think people still did rather well with it. There were just a couple that people really struggled with. So yeah. All right. So the first one. 407 years ago, our fathers, blah, 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 blah. This was the one you had to say, is it an argument? If it's an argument, what are the premises in conclusion? Was it deductive or inductive? And was it valid or invalid? First thing I want to say is always read your instructions. The people who did worst on this assignment were the ones who forgot to do one part of it. So like you just forgot to say whether it was valid or not. I tried to be as like, I was taking 3 points off for each little bit. So like 2 points for doing it. 2 points were related to premises and conclusions. 3 points were tied to deductive or inductive, and 3 points were tied to valid or invalid. But if you didn't say valid or invalid for all of them, you just left that part out. I only took off 2 for it because you made the same mistake 10 times, and it felt bad to take off 30 points for the same mistake 10 times. But generally speaking, always read the instructions and make sure to do all the tasks. Also, I forgot to say on homework 2, the part in which you chose things on the internet, I was basically, if you were along the right track, which everybody was, you got full credit. If I don't think you technically answered it right, I gave a little explanation for why I think you didn't quite answer or have an argument, but I still gave full credit because they were all honest, good attempts. And I tried to explain, use it as a learning moment. All right, 407 years ago, our fathers, blah, blah, blah. Was this an argument? No, there are some shaking heads. That is correct. This was not an argument. Yeah. This is just in honor of our dead president's birthday the other week. This was the one who died, or the one who was born, not this Monday, the one before Monday. We've got a nice little Lincoln speech. All right. Number 2. In order to graduate from Baruch, a person needs to take 6 flexible core classes. Johnny has only taken 4 flexible core classes. Therefore, Johnny must take 2 more flexible core classes before he is allowed to graduate. Is this an argument? Is it inductive or deductive? It is deductive. Which is the conclusion? Yes. Is it valid? Yes, it is. So, valid, deductive, argument. And the conclusion is the final sentence. All right. You all nailed it. Yes.
I got like -2 on that one. Is it because I didn't say it was valid?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
This was
I'll let,
one in which this was the make sure to read all the instructions and include it.
okay,
And I
because I
tried to be
wrote
as
it
lenient as I
isn't
could.
based on the premise of a certain time frame. That's what I wrote.
Say that again.
I wrote that it wasn't based on the premise of a certain time frame.
So that's the good explanation for why it's a deductive argument. But valid versus invalid is a matter of if you assume the premises are true, is the conclusion true? And for this one, if you assume the premises are true, in order to graduate from Baruch, a person needs to take 6 flexible cores, and Johnny has only taken 4 flexible cores. Assuming that's true, the conclusion must be true.
Got it. Thank you.
That's the valid part. So your explanation nailed why it was deductive. It was just the other part. All right, number 3. Number 3 and number 2 are designed to look very similar. In one of them, you have to take 6 flexible core classes. In the other one, you need to ritually sacrifice 6 babies. However, all the same things that apply to the number 2 also apply to number 3, because it is once again the exact same format. So because 2 is deductive, what does that mean 3 is? It's also deductive. Because 2 is valid, what does that mean 3 is? It's also valid. Validity only has to do with if you assume the premises are true, is the conclusion true? And in this alternative world in which we all have to sacrifice babies to graduate, this would be the case that Sally has 2 more babies to sacrifice before she's allowed to graduate. Now, there is a word that separates these two that we talked about. I think I didn't actually mention it in class yesterday. I meant to, and we'll talk about it more. But what's the key difference between 2 and 3? It's not their validity. It's not whether they're deductive or not. It's tied in with what we talked about yesterday. What is the difference between 2 and 3 in that sense? Yeah, it's soundness. Because as a matter of fact, you do have to take 6 flexible core classes. But as a matter of fact, you do not actually have to sacrifice 6 babies. This is false premise number 1. Premise 1 is false. In sorry, I should be doing this with a little pointer so the digital people can see. So this one, the premises are actually true. This one, the premises are false, but that doesn't change that it's valid. So 3 is also a valid deductive. Number 4, this is the same question as was on the previous homework assignment, just I asked different questions about it. So this is still an argument. Is it deductive or inductive? It's again still deductive. What's the conclusion? Yes, still that. And is it valid or not? It is valid, because if you assume that anytime somebody's having girl problems, the speaker feels bad for them, and the person they're addressing does have girl problems, in this alternative world, it is necessarily the case that they feel bad for the addressee. All right, 5 was the single most common one people lost points on. So, is this an argument? Yes, it is an argument. Most everybody got that part right. Is it deductive or inductive? It is deductive as well. These are using general claims about anybody who's having girl problems and Jay-Z's feelings about them. Now, is this valid? It is not valid. And this is the thing that most people lost points on. Why is it not valid? Well, let's work it through. Imagine that it's the case that anybody who has girl problems, Jay-Z feels bad for. Let's just stipulate that. And let's stipulate that Biggie is not having girl problems. Does that guarantee that Jay-Z does not feel bad for Biggie? No, because Biggie's dog might have died and Jay-Z feels really bad for Biggie whose dog died. Or Biggie's mom is in the hospital. Jay-Z might feel bad for that reason. Or Jay-Z's dad or Biggie's just like got Bell's palsy and can't move half their face, and therefore Jay-Z feels bad for them. So all that this proves is Biggie is not, or Jay-Z does not feel bad for Biggie because of girl problems. but he might still feel bad for Biggie for any other reason. So the conclusion could still be false, even if the premises are true. So this one is an invalid deductive. All right. Number 6. This was another one that was tricky. And this one, if you got the inductive, deductive, I took off fewer points. So a lot of people say this is an argument. It is valid. I think everyone got that part right. But it is deductive, not inductive. And the key thing is that for a deductive argument, you only need one of the premises to be general. Inductive, every single premise is a particular. And here, if your girlfriend cheats on you every day of the week, that is a general statement about anybody who might be getting cheated on. It is not tied to a specific date. So this one premise alone is enough to make it deductive. Now, because the other ones are all tied to a particular day, I was willing to be a little bit more generous with this one and say, like, I can see why you would have said inductive. But this premise alone is enough to make it deductive. All right. That contrasts with 7. 7 is an inductive argument because every single one of these premises is a particular event. It is a particular time. So 7 is an inductive. And whether you said valid or invalid, I gave it to you. Some people said valid because that's a lot of cheating. Other people said invalid because maybe this person has changed their behavior. It's not a guarantee. People change their minds and change their behaviors. All right. 8. 8 is not an argument. It looks like from homework 2, the first question, which was an argument, but you'll notice there's a difference. This one is just the same sentence repeated twice. This is just if you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. That's just 2 statements. The one in the last homework was if you're happy and you know it, you will clap your hands. You are happy and you do know it, therefore you'll clap your hands. So even though they share content, they are different in terms of argumentation. All right, 9 was, well, I'm tired of speaking. 9, deductive, inductive. I just gave away that it is an argument. Is it deductive or inductive? Deductive, yeah. It is using general claims about like a timeless thing about New York City being in the United States. This isn't tied into like a particular, I asked Sam if he was born in the United States, or Sam said New York's in the United States, and George said it's in the United States. It's rather this general claim about timeless, New York is in the United States, and timeless, Sam was born in New York. Therefore, Sam was born in New York City. Is this valid, though? No, it is not valid, because it is the case that New York City is in the United States. It is the case that my friend Sam was born in the United States, but Sam was born in Milwaukee. That is, so it is not valid, but it is deductive. 10, inductive or deductive? Inductive, yeah, because we're using one time I got spit on the train to draw a conclusion about what's going to happen next time on the train. Now, this one was clearly invalid. And the reason it's clearly invalid is because the fact that somebody actually once spat on me on the train does not make it likely the next time I'm going to get on the train, somebody spits on me. So this is a invalid inductive argument, despite the fact that the premise is true. All right. Any questions from computer people or living people? I'm going to wait a second and go get my water to see if computer people want to jump in. Just show you, you're not living. In my world, if you're on a computer, you're just a digital AI person until proven otherwise. All right. So if you missed any of this because you were running late or you aren't here right now and want to watch it later, I will be posting this to my very fun 24 subscriber YouTube channel as soon as I get back to the office. All right, I'm going to stop the recording for now then. And